Hey y'all, welcome back to Meddler's Toy Box, and today we're going to be playing around again with playing with some music, and then we're going to play some games. Today we're messing around in Bespoke Synth again, and also playing some Minecraft. I'm going to show you guys a couple of things that I've been doing with Bespoke Synth lately. So just as a reminder of what we were going through last time, is I built this giant generative mess. Let's see if I can remember which of these it is. 6. No, this ain't it. Number 5. One's taking forever to load. I get ready to hit the pause button because I'm probably gonna... Oh. That's not it either. Back at 4 already? Also, if I crash at any time, I apologize. Yep, it's back at 4. Alright, so this is where we were at last time, where we had this giant mess of random things happening, and this works awesome for generating different things, except for, and my mic's probably cutting out again as I was told last time, is this high number up at the top, when that hits up to 70, it's just not great for the load it does on my computer while I'm doing all the things, and the chance of crashing is a lot higher, so I had to come up with a way to simplify all of this. Big thing is reducing the amount of things actually going on, so I went back to the drawing board and kind of was like, okay, I'm doing this kind of inexperienced as a music producer, and that's kind of the point, is just kind of have fun with it and not really try to be good. It's just try to make something that's kind of cool and fits the genre we're going for. So I went back to kind of study what I had access to, and the big thing right here is Vital. Vital is a free synthesizer that has so many cool little sounds. So I made a little project based on this, where I just wanted to mess around with what I could do with one Vital and then chaining different effects together so that I could still get my randomness in different ways. So in this patch, I actually was designing how to get a drum beat to generate itself, because a big thing I started trying to do when I first started doing generative music is to have the drum beats kind of go with the music, and unfortunately a lot of different DAWs and synthesizers just don't do it very well because they are taking too many inputs in. What's great about Bespoke is it has this little thing called note wrap, which basically takes everything coming into it and shrinks down the range of its output. Basically, I have this little note wrap taking all the notes of the song and reducing them down to what the drum player can hear. And then I have another branch going off into a pulse chancer, which will run a kick note so that the kick happens a little bit more often, so we get a little bit better of a kick pattern so it's not drowned out by everything else. And then I just have an octaver that's changing the pitch of Vital. In this Vital, all I'm doing is a simple bell sound with a PL plop. So it's just a dinging sound. And then I just have random MIDI loaded. So biggest thing is I always suggest having a collection of random MIDI. Most of this is royalty free, some of it is not, as you can see from some of this list. So let's grab something that I won't get copy stricken for. Sugar Plum Fairies. Alright, so if we reset this, crashing on me here. And you kind of hear that it's taking the input notes from whatever MIDI we're putting in and turning it kind of into a drum beat. And I know this one doesn't really sound good. This was just kind of a tester. So I started refining this more and more, and now I've gotten to the point where I've balanced most things out to this setup right here. Get this zoomed in a little bit more. I do not know why transport over here. Oh, why this patch is being broken. Okay, well, let's fix that. And let's grab a new transport. Ah, this is a default part. I have a fucking. That's just convenient now, isn't it? And it's completely broken. I can't. Same with scale one. All right. Well, this is what happens when things just end up breaking. Let me try to reload this quick. Okay, now it's working properly. So, I took a lot of different inspirations to kind of build this setup so that it is still generative, but at the same time, it's not so overbearing on the load capacity with all of the different MIDI information and all of the different sound elements that are happening at the same time. So again, we just have a bunch of random MIDI from our MIDI collection. It really doesn't matter what this MIDI is. You can have it be something that you've created. So I have a folder of just a bunch of AI generated MIDI. And we'll open that. So as you can see, it's a random MIDI pattern. By the way, putting this through a regular synth sounds okay, but it does not sound great. But anyway, we have a bunch of random MIDI. We have a lot of notes coming out. In this first prefab up here, all we're doing is we're taking every single note and we're running it through a filter with a 10% chance of letting them out of that filter, octaving them down 2, and then running them into a note hocket, which for those who don't know, a hocket is basically just a fancy term for a randomizer. So it's picking all of these outputs. We've given them each basically an equal percent chance of being hit at a 1/6 chance. And then it's going into these chords. So these are all programmed with different chords. And actually what I'm going to do real quick that I forgot is I forgot to set all of these to diatonic. And I hope I didn't break something. And diatonic just means it will keep it in the scale that we've programmed. And what that will do is on some of these, it will play the same scale. So like you can see in, I believe, 3 and 4 are exactly the same. So this will, in this instance, weight differently in here. And you can affect that. I just have 6 different chords, so that it has 6 different choices to go through, and then a chord holder will hold that note, and then this note hocket will either send it to our first instance of Vital or our second instance of Vital, which both of these are set up with ambient soundscapes. So this one's a really simple ambi cave. It has just a couple simple things. It's not doing a lot of stuff. And then the other one, we have set to one called Witch Gothic Pad by ETW. And that basically is a gothic type of soundscape where a bunch of different things are happening. But let's pop this on real quick and then raise the volume. So now instead of doing a drum pattern, I just went for a kick beat that is running. I know this looks like a complicated web, but basically I couldn't put a prefab inside of a prefab. All this is a multi-chain compressor, multi-band compressor that Bespoke offers as a prefab to start by default, but you can't take a prefab and slot it into a prefab, so I just took all the plugins out. So these are using a multi-band compressor to take that kick and warp it in a little bit different ways, and then we're giving it an extra little effect with a slight pitch shift. This should actually be at 0.7. And it gives this kind of heartbeat sound that I wanted to have in the back of like some of these creepy noises that we were developing. We have a revisit from Song Builder. How I have it set up this time, instead of using a bunch of different inputs and outputs and telling the synth to do a bunch of things, and that was causing a lot of lag. Basically now I'm just using it as a song timer, so right now I have it set to run our off intro to record and then run our track for 64 bars, which it states that this will generate a 4-minute and 24-second loop length song. However, that is only true when the tempo is accurate. So this number is for this tempo, and we actually have the tempo of the entire synth actually being LFO'd. This was something I was playing around with because it was one of those things where a lot of other artists' tutorials basically were like, nah, you should like set this to this, and then it was never talked about again through any lesson, tutorial, or anything else. And as far as I've seen in my own music career, I used to be in pep band and things like that. Tempo was one of those things where, yes, it could change, but it only changed at very specific times for very specific reasons. And I just went down the route of, what if we changed it for no other reason than to add dynamics? And that's the glory of music, is because there's no wrong answers. That's what we're doing. So basically for our entire 64 length loop, we have this modulating in a sine wave between a low of 30 BPM and a high of 60 BPM, with the mid-range at 45 where the song starts. So by the time this entire track ends, it will be at the tail end of just this slow, drawling noise where everything is slowed down. More artifacts inside of the vital synth pads will like come out, different forms of them come out, and it adds a real nice dynamic. The other thing, as part of our song builder, besides the song length that we're referencing, we're also using it to press our record button so that we can get an accurate track to pop out. We are going to make a little bit of a track, but unfortunately I have not tested streaming and recording a track at the same time, which could crash the entire setup. So don't know 100% for sure if we're going to crash, but we are going to try and see what happens. All right, so first things first is let's just test and see how this sounds with our pads as they currently are set. But yeah, so as we can see up here, the tempo is just slowly slowing down. Now, the thing about slowing down the tempo that I realized is everything in the synth is controlled by said tempo. So when you slow down the tempo, you slow down all of the processes as well. As we slow down this, we also slow down our LFO. So as the song is getting slower, the change in the song is also getting slower. And for it to actually come up back and recover takes incredibly longer. And as you can see right down here, the time that it thinks the song is going to take is actually getting longer and longer and longer. Actually, I believe before the loop ends, this gets up to like 8 minutes or something by the time it gets all the way down to the 30 BPM. It is a pretty interesting mechanic to play with. And the last thing this is all doing is it's just running a volume LFO. So over time, I have this set up as a 64 bar negative saw that will start this at its maximum threshold, and then just slowly take it down. So I have mine set at a threshold of 70% gain on the master volume, and then it will just slowly decrease over time. And the thing is that because the tempo is changing, the volume decrease will also slow down. So by the time we get all the way down to the 30 BPM, the sound is almost gone, but it's still there. I am going to be meddling around with the volume control of this a little bit more in my next iteration of this. I think this is a better step to where I'm trying to go with generative music, because essentially having a bunch of random button pushes through MIDI, sending all of those notes to where it is, and generating something completely unique and original is kind of the goal here with very simple controls. So now we have this to where everything is happening. We have 2 instances of Vital going, but we're not as bad on the spectrum of our audio CPU usage. And even our FPS is doing pretty good. So we're not slowing down at all, and it's doing decently. I wanted to show you guys kind of this slowdown as it's happening. As you can see, the numbers are ticking down so much slower. The sound is elongating itself and becoming more drawn out into that horror type of feel where it was fast before, or at least you thought it was faster. And the heartbeat sound definitely really helps, because though the heartbeat is controlled by the MIDI are slowed down by the tempo. So this is inherently slowed down as well. And we're also giving this a chance. So not every note is coming all the way through. And I could mess around with that to get the chances a little bit better. We have it at 50%. I'd probably lower it just slightly given all of my tests, but it's decent enough for where it is right now because I don't want to change too much. And we're just now hitting that 30 BPM threshold, and everything is just very slow, elongated. These sounds over here are not changing as much at the front end, but they are changing a lot at the back end as they're slowly drawn out. All right, so and as you can see, once we get down there, now the song has reached an estimated length of 8.5 minutes at the point we've given it. So this is how I wanted to randomize song length again, but now instead of randomizing song length, we're randomizing what's in the song. I'm becoming more consistent about creating songs of a certain length so that I can view them more consistently and say, okay, I need to generate 4 of them for this session and this game, rather than I hope I only need to generate 4 of them. Because there was a point where I was getting so far into the randomness that it was becoming complicated. And again, the whole goal of this is to be simple. So now that we've kind of explained everything going on, we're going to get everything reset by panic buttoning all of these sounds. So that is going to tell Bespoke that any information that is still within it, delays, anything else, cut it out. Bring it straight to 0 and do nothing with it. Then we're going to open up Vital here, and I'm going to grab a couple. As you guys can see, so my main username on a lot of my accounts, I know I have never introduced this to you guys, but my main thing on a lot of things is One Eyes. Even though I'm over here on Midler's Toy Box, I thought it was a funner name. But anyway, so these are the things that I have been messing around with in Vital lately, and just kind of naming them weird things. So we're going to grab Expansive Chill, which I think is one of my most successful soundscapes. As you guys can see by the dates over here, I'm literally, as of today, making and editing stuff to play around with. So we're going to change this one to Expansive Chill. And the second one, we're going to stick with just things I've made to kind of keep it in there. We're going to give it the dark texture. All right. And then we're actually going to turn off this. And does that stop the notes? No. Guarantees them to go through. That's okay. Anyway, let's reset. Let's disable the LFO here. We'll go to 60. So we're at the max range where the LFO wants to be. So yeah, I've been messing around with this very spooky type of thing, and the reason being is, as I showed you guys last time, I was messing around with the generative dungeon in Minecraft. We will be visiting that again a little bit later. I'll be explaining different things I did with it today, but we're gonna actually be hopping into our survival world a little bit, so this music won't really hit the right tone if we, you know, play it in a survival sense, I think, because it's a little more horror aspecty. But let's go ahead and we will pick a new MIDI sound. Let's grab something not copyrighted. Something. All right. So got this all in here. Got a bunch of MIDI, random stuff happening. Okay, we're okay, we got all this set up. We're actually going to lower our just down one more because that was a little high. I wanted a little bit lower. And then what we're going to do is I am going to stop on this, make sure this is all done. Panic, all of you, make sure that's all. Hit play on this, so, and then reset you. Now everything is starting. It's going to go through the first bar just fine. Then it should activate its own record button. Here it is. Haven't actually got a note to come out of the chancer yet, so it's just going to be this blank heartbeat. Oh, there it is. So that was the one thing why I wanted to have the pattern kick module here out separately, due to the fact that it can create this moment where if the pads go down and cut out for whatever reason, that heartbeat sound is still there. I was going to implement it into the mini game I was playing, and do a heartbeat to health sensor. I'm still thinking about doing that. But if I can emulate it in the music, I don't think I need it to come from the actual game necessarily, but that'll be a discussion for a different day. So as this is playing, you notice that it's counting down as it's going through, just like it normally would, but at some point it stalls, which is right here where it's at its maximum of 60 BPM, where it's sped all the way up to that, and now it's just going to slowly drop down as it gets slower and slower and slower, and you can see that now the time is climbing. It thinks the length of the song is slowly getting longer and longer and longer. And we're not even halfway done yet. So this will generate, let's see here. I go into my documents. Bespoke recordings. So here's a couple of files that I've already recorded. This is the last one I generated before going on stream. As you can see, it's 4 minutes and 20 seconds. This one is the one right before that, 5 minutes 48 seconds. This is the one right before that, 5 minutes 54 seconds. So it's around 4 to 6 minutes. I think what I did with this one is I cut it short so I could get on stream on time. And then 3 and 4 were from our previous generative model. So as you can see, we skipped straight to 8 on the model list to get that all done. All right, so I know I'm kind of stalling for time to let this finish out. It will stop itself from recording. Once it's done recording, I have it set up to where once this tails out, it will immediately turn off the recording, and then we can kick it out to our folder. So to stall for a little bit of more time, as this is kind of drowning itself out here. So the plan with our Minecraft, I was thinking a lot about the different things that we are doing with our Minecraft worlds. So right now, we do have the Monday stream. I also have the Infinity Dungeons. We're going to be talking about both of these today. Main thing is we're going to try to continue the adventure on the survival worlds, but mainly is I think Infinity Dungeons fits better with the theme of these generative types of things. I think it might be a bit more interesting for you guys to watch with something that's constantly changing. When we want something exciting, interactive, and things like that. And just the weeks that we want to chill, do nothing, and we really don't want to do anything, we can still play the survival world. We're going to be popping in the survival world after this track is done generating, which it sounds like it's just about there. As you can hear, it's stuck in the 30 BPM range right now, and it is super quiet and super slow. So this is the point where if I notice that the sounds aren't really doing much, is where I will cut it off and say, okay, that's good enough, because it just has a decent end, which actually we're going to do right now. Stop. And then we're going to bounce that to our directory and clear it. And then we're just going to hit save. All right, so we are going to be using this music in a little bit, but what I wanted to do is pop into Minecraft and kind of discuss all the things that we're talking about and get that ready to go as well. So, on the actual streaming world, for survival, I have made a couple of upgrades. So, I got really annoyed with the villagers coming into my house. Something, give me just a sec here. That was, whoop, right, and I will be right back. Hello, sorry about that. Also, I forgot to use my technical difficulties screen I have now for OBS. Yeah, we just had a huge spike in the computer trying to catch up, load Minecraft, and exit out of Bespoke at the same time. So, lag spike gone. We did a couple of upgrades. I got tired of villagers coming in and sleeping in my bed, so I put it up here. Other than that, really no upgrades to the house, except putting some of my tables and things up so that the villagers don't accept jobs and whatever. Fuck you. Alright, and then our cactus farm. How are we doing over here? Oh, that's going strong. We did collect a lot of rotten flesh off of our mob farm down here. So that's been working beautifully. We have done a little bit more excavating on the sunken ship over here, like we did the past few streams. I want to kind of dig this out and see if we can like make a little display for it and see what's going on. Another thing is I went and I've been doing a lot of mining to get a bunch of resources so that I don't have to go mining anymore, which is how I like to play Minecraft, is basically be so good at the game, I don't have to play the game. But over here we have chosen a spot for our nether portal. For those of you who love Minecraft and believe that the original portal should always go at 0, I am one of those people. Sometimes, but definitely this playthrough, the portal is going to be at 0, so we have it right here. And we did go find some lava and some dripstone so that we can have an infinite lava source, so that we don't have to go hunt obsidian. That was the biggest thing, is I did not want to hunt obsidian. So what I want to do is decide whether or not we're going to the nether today is the big thing. Because I think we are. I think it's time to get quartz. I think it's time to start doing redstone machinery, because I am at the point where, yeah, I have this nice cozy little village that we're slowly upgrading, like with our nice clean market, our repaired bridges and railings for safety. We do still have a little bit of cleanup to do in terms of houses and villagers wandering wild and things like that. And then our town cleric does roam free. I'm going to get a little stuff from you. Do not like how little XP you get this all the time. And then we're just going to turn that right back into redstone. Yeah. Alright. So, other than that, there have been no big upgrades on the town. Except deciding where the nether portal is, and then my little extension to the house up here, which we need a realistic little fence support coming down here eventually as well. Do we actually have that in just yet? Ooh. Okay, ooh, we have a full stack of redstone now, guys. That's really pretty dope. Where do you come down? Perfect. Down where I kind of wanted you to be. And yeah, I want to change. All right. All right, so yeah, that's kind of where we're sitting at in the survival world. I'm at the point where I'm kind of getting annoyed of doing everything by hand, you know, farming chickens and eggs and such. I want to get a chicken cooker and a bunch of other... Please, no. No. Go away. There's nothing for you here. Definitely get some more redstone so we can make a one-way door for us, and maybe a bigger house. Definitely a bigger house eventually. But big thing that we're going to also get done in this world is start getting some automatic farms going. So like sugarcane and a couple of other things like an auto cobble generator, tree farm, things like that. But the biggest thing we need is quartz. So that is what we are going to get done today, is we are going to, I think we actually are. We're going to go to the nether. We're going to gather a bunch of quartz. That's the journey we're going to do today. And then after we get that journey done, whenever that happens, we're going to pop over into the Infinity Dungeons. I'm going to explain a couple of more things about it. And then throughout this process, I'm going to just use the time to kind of just think of which way we want to kind of go with the stream, because I like the survival world aspect. I wanted to share kind of a world with you guys as I went along, even though I know that, you know, this is probably just on somebody's side screen, being a distraction at the moment while they're working on something else, which is totally fine. That's kind of the goal of it, is you guys just to hang out and have a good time. But anyways, I understand that right now that because of my babbling, the whole point of Musical Mondays is to have music. So what we're going to do is we're quickly going to get through my babble session, unlock the nether, go get some quartz, and then get to a point where we can actually listen to music and play a game. So let's go ahead. We need to go and grab our bucket. All right, and I'll probably embarrass myself. We do not have diamonds yet, unfortunately. All the mining so far, and still no diamonds in anything. So we do not have any actual way to mine obsidian. So we have to not fuck up getting the portal built the easy way, because we can't move the obsidian. So this is gonna suck. All right. Oh, I need to make a second. I've been using, and this is the other thing. We need to get an iron farm going. That's what we mainly need redstone for. Is we need to get an iron farm, because I am sick of having to mine my iron, or having to try to get it from villagers through a bunch of different trading, which I understand. I'm just being lazy, but having an iron farm where I don't have to think about it is pretty dope. All right, so let's... How do I do the thing? First, probably bring... Shit. Just really need 4. Remember how to do this correctly, which again I probably do not know how to do this correctly. But fill it up. Put it here. Water. Here. Up, and we've got our first piece of obsidian. Alright. And I have just realized that I put that... After saying we need to not mess up, I've realized that I put it 1 high. Alright, well, we have already messed up, so we're going to be making a raised nether portal today, everybody. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to wait for the next bit of lava. So, this is way too boring to wait for. So, we'll definitely be going to the nether. I'm going to get that definitely set up, and all that, so that we can have a little bit more fun on this world, because really it's slowing down, because there's not any automation, I think. I don't mind cottagecore, but there needs to be some type of input for it, so that we can start upgrading these guys and having a bunch of fun with other parts of our adventure, rather than all this grindiness. This actually looks really good. I'm proud of this. Okay. Alright, up to here, and... So this is the reason, actually this is a primary example, this little, like, jump into the nether, yeah, I could have more easily prepared and did the whole portal up and say, hey guys, we're going to the nether today, and pop it in or even set up the nether portal before you guys get here and things like that. But I mean, at the same time, I could just, you know, pop onto stream, show you guys the progress of my world, and then pop into something more interesting. And I think that is actually what this is going to turn into. Is I still want to play through the survival world and have fun with it and kind of have this simplistic little village lifestyle that we're kind of going for. But I don't like grinding Minecraft. The first part of Minecraft, early game, is probably my least favorite part of Minecraft in its entirety. Is just doing stuff like this where you have to be meticulous, get all your stuff together, find all the resources. It's not my cup of tea. And I don't think, at least in my opinion, it's very fun to watch necessarily either. So I wanted to switch it up and do more minigame style of things. So with that note, I know I'm kind of flaking on what I said, where we would go to the nether and then pop off into Infinity Dungeon, but I also thought this was going to go a little bit faster, and I'm a little demotivated that I already fucked up after telling myself not to fuck up. But let's hop over to the Infinity Dungeon and take a look at a couple of things that I have done to it to kind of make it a little bit more entertaining, both for me and you guys, the viewers, so that we can have a lot of extra fun. And I think I'm going to go that route with our streaming on Mondays. Is we're going to not necessarily pick a full game to play like Minecraft, where it's a long storyline and being episodic like that. But I think the better option is to have sort of like minier sessions. Like, we can still play Minecraft, but we're not going to play Minecraft type of thing. I think a more mini-game aspect is actually better in this instance. So I'm going to leave my stuff so I need it all when I come back in my own time. But I think wasting your guys' time watching me grind around the game is not that great. Plus, you've probably seen 101 people play Minecraft. Not saying we're abandoning this world at all, but I would like to get it to a point where I'm doing a couple more interesting things and then share those with you guys. So let's get everything set up to pop into the Infinity Dungeons, and I will meet you guys over there. Alright guys, welcome back. I got this all set up now. Alright, so this looks a little bit different. As a reminder, this is Infinity Dungeon this is the original map creator, Nebulirian. I have taken some creative edits of the maps, so I have retextured some things, and there's a very specific reason for that. I know Basalt and Acacia does not look great in the vanilla textures, but the resource packs I am going to be putting on makes this all look a lot better. Also, messing around with some particle effects. I got this really cool, nice effect over here by the player's log. So, for any of us who weren't here last week, this is Infinity Dungeon. What will happen is every single time we generate a new dungeon, we will have to get through it, defeat bosses, monsters, collect gear, and try to get as far as we can. It's a generative roguelike game, and it's pretty awesome. The only thing is it wasn't really designed with single player in mind. So what I have been doing over the past few weeks is making single player a little bit more viable. So to explain what I've done, and I'm going to try to keep this babble short because I would like to play a game with you guys, is inside the dungeon you can find a couple of different types of blocks. So one of them you can find that we saw is an enchanting table. You add enchants to your gear throughout the dungeon. End portal frame is used as a disenchantment table in the dungeon, so you can find those as well. The cauldron, if you find a cauldron inside the dungeon, it will have liquid inside of it that you can collect for healing potions, which is pretty cool. You're also going to find the shopkeeps to buy and sell stuff. And another thing you're going to find is a beacon. So, a beacon room can generate in the dungeon. And what it's mainly used for in the default programming that Nablu Lyrion put in is it's meant to be a revive station for you when you're in multiplayer. However, when you're in single player, it's completely useless because of that aspect. And since the game's difficulty rating a lot of the time, as I've noticed through testing, is geared towards having multiple players rather than just one. So I have taken the liberty of taking the mechanics and modding them to a way that is more single player oriented using the beacon block. So still being part of the programming as randomly generated. However, we still have the opportunity to do some cool things. So I am going to show an example of what this can do, which is really cool. And it's the main focus of what it can do. So I basically turn this into our custom crafting table, where every custom interaction of the single player world actually relies on the beacon. And because it is a rare room that happens throughout the dungeon, it's going to keep the balance of the game. So what this does is, while you're in the dungeon, you would be able to find nether stars, rename the Stars of Revival, right-click it on a beacon, and it would revive your teammate who died before you, so you can keep going through the dungeon and getting farther and farther. Obviously, I don't have any teammates, so why is this going to be useful to me? Well, another thing that happens in the dungeon is a diamond. So every time you clear a floor of a dungeon, not a level, because every time we advance a level, but when we advance a floor, we actually find a portal room to teleport us to the next floor of the dungeon, and as a trophy, we get a diamond. As far as I could tell, and there's not a huge guideline, looking at you guys over here, if you could make a guidebook, please, that'd be awesome. But the diamond, as far as I can know, is just a trophy. So I wanted an actual way to revive a companion in single player, but make it, difficult. I didn't want it to just be, here's a companion. So you have to still go find the diamond. And when you do, you can come over to a beacon, and it will summon our dungeon companion Lorca here to help us throughout the dungeon. Lorca is a dire wolf. For those of you who understand base model textures, Lorca is huge compared to a regular wolf. She's all armored up, ready to go into the dungeon. We've given her a player's amount of health and also the same stats as us. So basically, she is player with AI. And this was actually the idea of my wife. This is actually a really cool idea because I was going to turn it into like a whole crafting system and make it really difficult and whatever to make up for this. But this just worked out. But anyways, and also when you die and the game resets, I have it set to where Lorca will die as well. I know, we still get the sad, Lorca died. Anywho's, it's all of that is being controlled down here. Another thing that we discussed last time is the setup for all of the kills. So now I have chance for gear at 75 kills rather than 50 to kind of balance it out a little bit more. And also, as you saw from Lorca, she's wearing armor. The only two ways to repair armor in dog armor in Minecraft, I should say, is with Armadillo Scoot or with enchantment of mending if you use commands. Well, obviously, we're going to be in adventure mode, so we're not going to have access to our little server room here. And we're going to need a way to repair Lorca's armor because we can't give her health potions. So this will randomly, when we reach our 75 kills, it will not only give us some dungeon loot, it will give us a chance to repair Lorca's armor as well through these commands. Then over here on this server side, this line is all programming Lorca. And then each of these server banks is a module of 3, so each of these squares is actually 3 command blocks lined up, and it is handling upgrades. So being able to upgrade iron armor, diamond, all the way up, so that if you get stuck in the dungeon and let's say you haven't gotten any new armor drops and you just completed 3 floors, which by the way is entirely possible, that's why I'm saying it is, to the point where you just, it's so hard to continue. And I wanted it to go a little bit smoother, even though the point of the game is to get hard and not be, you know, exquisitely easily unbeatable. Alright, so I have been babbling on enough. So now to show you guys why the texture changes. So I have been going through a couple of resource packs. I found this great one called Last Days pack. It's a post-apocalyptic pack. I forget who the original artist was, but you can find this pack pretty easily on like Planet Minecraft. I also have it layering with vanilla tweaks, which is, yes, changing my experience barred rainbow. It's also giving us that overhang of moss here on the step, but the main thing I wanted was a color palette change. So now with this post-apocalyptic pack, the colors mute out, everything looks more mechanical, rusted. The lightning rods now look a lot more like conduits for lighting fixtures and things like that. And the reason we don't go in the server room with the pack on is the command blocks look absolutely wicked. And yeah, no, it just confuses my brain to be in here once they're turned on like that. So we're going to leave that there. And we are actually going to play a couple rounds of this to end out the stream this evening. We're going to play probably 30 minutes to an hour until I get bored, basically. But we're going to load up the generative tracks, including the one we generated today, and go ahead and enjoy the game. So I will be continuing to develop this project, making it more and more personalized. I hope to make my own mini game along these lines, using everything I've learned with the base that these wonderful creators have given me, to hopefully make something that's truly all my own, so we can generate truly original content. But anyways, before I actually walk in there, I should see where the dungeon is set. Yeah, I had it set to 16. Let's actually get that set. Let's get an extra large going so we have a good chance of a long run. And is it going to put us right in the... So, it generated. Alright, and then we're going to load up the music. I'm going to cut my mic, and we're going to just enjoy the game as we do every week. I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out. I will recap with you guys after this is all said and done. Oh, man, I forgot how long a 256 takes. I'm so used to saying something for like 10 seconds, expecting to be done, and then cutting you guys out. I'm so sorry that my speech pattern is so bad on that point. There it goes. Alright, so I'm going to cut out my mic. We're going to get the music started, and hopefully you guys enjoy just hanging out and listening to like the creepy sounds as we go through this creepy pack of our Infinity Dungeon.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Do you have any friends on thanks? I'll thank you for it. Thanks. Do you have any friends on? Please do. I'll thank you for it. Thank you. Looking for a trade. Thank you. looking for a trade. Appreciate it. If you're asking about your zone, thanks. I'll trade you for it. If you're asking about your zone, thanks. I'll trade you for it. Get it.
Ow! Ow!
guys. I got defeated there pretty harshly. But as you guys can see, a lot of different mechanics. We unfortunately were not able to trigger any of the new mechanics I have for single player, which is inherently, in my opinion, a good thing. The fact that these only came up very rarely. In the middle, when I hit 75 kills, you might have heard the ding when this chain of events went off. But otherwise, except for that last little bit at the end where I had 2 kills after death, which sometimes happens if I die during a boss fight, everything seemed to be working properly. It's not too overpowered. You know, we found a star revival and a beacon. We just needed to complete the floor of the dungeon to be able to get our dog companion. So I think in that aspect, we've got it nice and balanced. Hopefully you guys also enjoyed the soundtracks in the background. I will be working on them more to get them more dialed in. We're also going to be visiting back with our survival world next week to update and check in on that and see how it's doing. And then we might do another playthrough of Infinity Dungeon before ultimately putting it to bed as... or I wouldn't say putting it to bed, putting it into our arsenal for a rotation of games as I go and look for more. But hopefully you all enjoyed hanging out. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your night.